But if we're focusing specifically on the topic of rest and setting aside other tasks, well, what comes to mind is priorities.
Okay.
So priorities by definition implies that these other things are not unimportant. You're just making the line and one thing comes first. And so for me, the most important thing in all existence is God himself. And so if he truly is the most important thing to me, then my actions, my behavior should reflect that. And so for me, what that looks like is carving out time for him, spending quality time with just he and I, just like with a family member. Or you, like you're one of my best friends. How do I reflect that? Carve out time to spend it. So the same thing goes.
Welcome to the Academy for Adventures podcast, where every story is a new expedition. Join us as we explore real-life adventures, battles, and moments of growth from people forging their own path. Because life isn't ordinary. It's an adventure worth living. Hey everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Academy for Adventures podcast. Today I'm joined by a wonderful guest, Arthur Rose, and we realized before recording that we don't have a bio, but honestly I really don't need a bio because I've known him for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So Arthur Rose is a board game publisher. He has a board game called Zenith Arena, and we're going to talk about that. It's been in the works for a long time, and I partnered up with him on that project. So that's pretty cool. Arthur right now is working on the cutting edge of innovation. He's working with artificial intelligence, among other things, here in South Florida. We won't say where, just in case. And Arthur is passionate about video games, board games, obviously, anime, among other things. What else do you like, Arthur?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. I'm into all kinds of things. Music production. Love making music on the side. That's a big one. Hopefully by end of this year, I'll release my first song on Spotify and all the other platforms.
You heard it here. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I said it out loud on purpose for accountability to myself.
Accountability. Everyone watching this video, you got to help keep him accountable because he said it, folks. And I didn't even know he was going to say it. That was not planned. Yeah. So, well, you know what? Why don't we just get right into it? Let's do it. Yeah. So here on this podcast, this is the first time that we've actually had someone come in live to the studio, so it's really cool. We're both local, and I hope to get more local guests like this as well. But what matters is going to be a great podcast, and maybe we can do a 3 or a 4 person episode. You know, nothing's off the table at the Academy for Adventures, for better or for worse.
Well, I think in adventure includes that.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. So let's start with that. Arthur, what's adventure? What is adventure?
I think that's also a very big question, but I think there's many ways to answer that. I think one aspect that I love about adventure is that adventure, at least a really exciting adventure, includes something unknown. Or maybe you're discovering something, or you're doing something with someone for the first time. I think that's a very unique experience. And I was actually thinking about this on the way here. That when you're a child, everything is so exciting because you're experiencing so many things for the first time. Yeah.
So novelty.
Yeah. I think there's a very unique experience that you can only experience one time because you can only experience the first time of something once. Yeah. So I think that's why whenever you're doing an adventure anywhere, maybe that's travel, you're traveling to a place you've never been before. Wow. Like you have no idea what to expect. Or maybe you do your research and it's exciting to do that research because you're discovering something you've never discovered before.
Why is travel important?
You can answer that in different routes. One, just to be cultured, just to know what exists around the world. Every country, every location around the world is unique, has unique people, unique environments, and it's helpful to learn more about those so you're not just isolated to your own silo.
Hmm.
Um, Gosh, with that, I mean, I'm already
Do
thinking
you?
like the follow up to that, but
Yeah. So
um,
let's go down that track. Do you think
sure.
that's a problem that we have nowadays, that we are siloed? Is that something that is an issue?
Uh, yes, but it's actually funny we're talking about this because there's
Okay.
also another side. I think it's a two-sided
Two-sided
coin.
coin. Okay. Okay.
So one, it is important because it prevents you from thinking that your way is the only way.
Hmm.
But I was also thinking the other day that um, if every culture is blended like a melting pot, as they say here in the US,
Right.
like if every location everywhere is a melting pot, you lose what's unique about every place.
Right.
So
Right.
it's important to share each other's cultures and learn about them, but it's also just as important to allow each culture to be their own culture, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about that, guys? Feel free to comment down below when you watch the episode because I'd love to get your perspective. So, that's a perennial problem for the human species. And I was having a conversation the other day with my wife, and we were just talking about our heritage, right? So, I'm Italian heritage. Both of my parents, like spanning generations, we have Italian blood. But that's interesting because I'm sure at some point my ancestors probably came from other places, right? And so the concept of melting pot, I believe, is something that has been occurring for forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at, like, let's use Italy as an example. So Italy used to be a ton of different, basically, states that kind of came together. They were all separate kingdoms, and then it was unified under one banner. That took a long time. And if you look at one of the older flags of the Italian country, you actually will see there was an emblem in the middle, and
Hmm.
that was symbolic for the unification that happened throughout all the different city states when Italy became one. So it's like, did they all consider themselves Italian? Did they refer to themselves based on their region? What does it mean to be Italian now? What will it mean to be Italian 100 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
What will it mean to be anything 100 years from now? Because with globalization increasing and at an alarming rate, with no real point that it seems to be slowing down, what is it going to even mean to be any of these countries now in 100
Yeah.
years?
Yeah, that's quite a profound. I'd like to give our species some credit.
Yeah.
I think sure there is going to be a lot of blending, but I think humans value their culture so much that
Mm.
I don't think humanity is going to budge on that too much. Like even if for some reason somehow like every single country became one country, you still have all these people living in their own location, um, which which this conversation can get to, um, like the culture, the microcultures that occur just by the location of where you are. Like for example, I'm thinking
Hmm.
even something as simple as school. Every school is their own location with their own set of students, so already you have a culture within that location, and then
I
within the
see.
school you have cliques, and sometimes a clique can be good, sometimes a clique can be bad, but just by proximity you create your group. Well, I think a group could be just another word for culture. Like you have your group's culture is your group's dynamic and how you interact with each other.
Hmm. So earlier today, I was facilitating one of my after-school program, and these are elementary students. And the topic for today was how to be a leader in your community. And what's funny is that when I asked the kids what they felt community was, one of them mentioned their neighborhood,
Mm.
one of them mentioned the city, one of them mentioned their school, one of them mentioned their family. So,
Mhm.
like, even at a young age, I feel that people are aware, children are aware of distinctions within distinctions, right?
Yeah.
So they understand that a community is at its core, right? It's a group of people that come together that ideally share a shared narrative, right? They have a shared story, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that seems to be something profound for the human being, for the human species, is that we're very tribal, and we like to connect around people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
But then you also have within that tribalism, you will have people that are more attuned to the needs of people that are outside of the community, and then you have people that are more attuned to the needs of people that are inside a community.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you think is going to happen if we were to kind of unite under one banner, so to speak, where, it's a, let's say, use the example of a post-apocalyptic world where it's like there's one order, one government. What what do you think would happen? Like, would it be all good? Would it be bad? Would it be all bad? Would it be a mixed bag? Like, are there benefits? Are there pros and cons to that? Since we're talking about that, yeah, like, why
That's
not?
such a huge question.
I know, but it's an adventurous one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You heard it here first,
Well,
folks.
I have to admit, it's a little difficult for me to answer a question like that because I'm the type of person who loves to simmer on something for a while. I'm a processor. I'll
You're a
process
processor.
something for a while before giving an answer that I feel is worth coming out of my mouth. But my quick answer would be being an optimistic person, everything will be fine.
Everything will be fine.
Focusing not even so much on the government, the governance of the question you just posed, but I'm mostly focusing on humanity. So I'm hopeful that if all the countries in the world became one country, then I don't think anything will really change that much. Human beings, you were talking about the tribalism, that connection. We do that automatically without even thinking about it. It happens subconsciously.
Yeah.
Just bumping into somebody who you've never met before, just by having those first conversations with them, you are by default creating the culture whether you like it or not, because the way that you interact with them will affect how they interact with you, and then you create a repertoire with each other, and then the next time you meet, now the conversation it will not be the same as the first time you bumped into each other because
you're building off of what you established previously.
Right. Yeah.
Good or bad or indifferent.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully for the better.
Hopefully for the better. But I've noticed that, like, people keep track. And so I notice, like, if I have a conversation with my spouse, my spouse, my wife, she's not just having a conversation with me in a vacuum. This conversation is based on all of the previous conversations we've had.
Yep.
And she will form an opinion, not just based on what we discuss in the moment, but also what we've discussed before.
Right.
And we know that, for example, like, if you're having a great day, and within the context of a day, if you have one bad thing happen to you, it's not going to be a huge deal because you kind of have the greatness to build off of or to feed from. You're like, that's not a big deal. But if you've had a bad day and, like, one good thing happens to you, it's hard to take joy in that because you've got more bad than good. Like, I've heard the analogy, or unless it's something spectacular, because there also is, like, degrees of greatness and sadness, right?
Well, where I'm coming from is, like, sure, I think that's totally possible. I think what's also possible is it could be the one moment of relief that you got. So it makes the relief that much more impactful. It's like, finally, like, after hard day work, you get home, you sit on your bed or your couch, and you go, you just, that moment that you, or like when you've been walking all day and you take off your shoes, it's like that specific moment feels so good because of how exhausting the rest of it was.
I'm thinking of Disney at 11 p.m. at night.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this really funny reel on Instagram that my wife shared with me, and it was the Disney monorail like audio loop where it said, "Welcome to Walt Disney World Transportation.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you had a magical day." And it shows like this dog like all disheveled, and like the text said like broke, like walk 20,000 steps, and like feet are on fire. And it's
I
like,
appreciate the honesty.
yeah. And it's like, you had a magical day, but boy, did you pay a price for it. Like mentally, physically, financially, and probably even spiritually.
You know, nothing against Disney or specifically Magic Kingdom, but there was several years ago I went to Magic Kingdom, and I remember saying, I'll never forget this, that the best moment of my day was getting back home.
Wow. Dang.
It was still a great day.
If you haven't been to Magic Kingdom, don't go now.
Magic Kingdom is great. Which is the only reason I'm saying that is because on that particular day, there were so many people. It was very crowded. Long lines. I was walking at 20,000 steps. I was disheveled by the time I got home. And just sitting on my bed or laying down on my bed just felt so good after that day.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to be said about relief, like even when you were speaking about that moment, like psychologically, I noticed like something shifted in me. My body language changed. My breathing changed.
Mm-hmm.
I slowed down a little bit. Like that mind-body connection is a real thing. Like even just talking about a concept of stress or relief or any emotion will cause physiologic responses. Like that's one of the things about like talking about the human species. Like, yeah, the placebo effect is a real thing. Like there's no doubt about that. Like there's no doubt about that. Yeah, at all. Because you can just like will yourself to feel something if you just talk about it. And it's like,
that's true. Like
there's no change at all. It's just the concept is being tossed around, and it just changes us. Isn't that funny?
What comes to mind that is perspective. Perspective is huge.
Well, that's an adventurous topic. Let's talk about perspective. Why does perspective matter?
You can see one thing at one angle and a completely different thing at a different angle.
You mentioned two sides of a coin. Is that related to that? Could perspective also be like two sides of the same coin?
Sure. Yeah. Or I guess taking that analogy or that picture of a coin, you cannot have the other perspective unless you flip it. And because it's a flat object, it's like you only ever see most of the coin when it's, literally on the other side. So, yeah, I don't know if that analogy even works now I'm thinking about it, but I guess I'm thinking like a multi-sided die, a 20-sided die. You can see multiple sides because there are more sides, but with a coin, you only have two sides. So
yeah.
But anyway,
well, there's something to be said about that because I heard this on a podcast. I think it was Jordan Peterson, and he talked about the story of Loki, right? Loki, the god of mischief, and apparently one time Loki showed up, and he was really funny. So what he did was he embodied himself as a regular human being, and he had a hat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny because the hat was two colors. One side was blue and one side was red. I may be confusing the colors, but the point is still made. So you had one guy on the right side and one guy on the left side, and Loki was facing straight, and they were having an argument about the color of the hat.
Yeah. Right.
Isn't that perspective? Sometimes
right.
And they're both right in their own way. They were both right. And then he like appeared later, and he saw that the commotion, like apparently the two villagers got into it. It was really problematic. And then they called the third guy to like, it's funny because the third guy was actually in front of Loki, and he couldn't see either color. I think it was like a third color actually.
That's funny.
And so he had these three guys just arguing about something seemingly pointless, but for the purpose of the moral of the story. That's perspective for you, isn't it? Like you can literally argue until you're blue in the face. And maybe both of you are right, but maybe in different ways. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll use that for the next conflict with my spouse. I'll try to apply that principle. Tying it back to culture and yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, the main reason I mentioned perspective, in addition to everything you just mentioned, is it can totally change your demeanor about something. Having more information can completely change what you think about something.
Yeah.
Like the person who cut you off in traffic, just saying that, perspective one, wow, that person is so inconsiderate. They cut me off.
What a jerk.
One little piece of information. Their daughter is dying and they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
And this may be the last moment they have to talk to her. So they are rushing to the hospital.
And you have no idea.
Just that immediately disarms you.
Yeah, you would be like, bro, just go ahead, man. Like, do it. Like,
I would do the
like,
same
try not
thing.
to crash into me if you can, but like, totally go for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I practice that. Driving in South Florida, for those of you who are not familiar, is not a pretty picture, and it's not a fun or enjoying part of your day for most people.
Can I mention something really funny?
Please do it.
There was one time I was taking a really long road trip. I was driving by myself. I think I went up to like Tennessee or something from Florida, and I was driving back down. My entire drive was pleasant, and I kid you not, the moment I crossed into the Florida border, a car whips past me, and then another one whips past me.
Welcome to Florida.
Here I am.
Welcome to Florida, Arthur.
Welcome home.
What a welcome back present.
Yeah.
My gosh. Yeah. That's a big problem here. Yeah. I mean, like, I think most of the world and the country, like, sees Florida and they think of Miami or they think of Disney and maybe alligators and old people. All those things are true, but there's so much more to Florida, and traffic is one of those things. Yeah. So if you want to have a good time, come to Florida. Come over. We have space for you. Please don't come. We have enough people as it is. Unless you're good. If you're a good person, please come to Florida, because maybe we can even out, that traffic problem.
Hopefully they listen to this podcast.
Use your turning signal.
Yes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
It's very helpful, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Hopefully that whoever's listening to this, hopefully this improves your day and shifts your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is the thing you listen to that helps make you a little better.
Yeah, we hope that. We genuinely do. We really, really hope that this podcast is going to add value to your life in more ways than one.
Yeah. So
talking about, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about battle. The concept of battle. When you think of battle, like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
First word that came to mind was challenge. Some sort of challenge. And challenges aren't bad, but every challenge you face is a battle. It can be a miniature battle or a grand battle. With the car example, like, that's an internal challenge that I have to face in that moment. This person crossed me. Could have caused an accident. In that moment, what do? Mini challenge. What do I do with that?
Right. And it's live. You don't have the RPG menu in front of you. Like, you have to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
There was actually one time, it's funny you mentioned that. There was a time several years ago, I was trying to improve how I react during traffic, like to not road rage. And the analogy I put in my head was that it's like, what do I do right now? In this very moment, I have options. I have option A, B, C, D, whatever. In that moment, I have an opportunity to select one. So I'm not powerless to how I react. And over time, those split seconds got bigger.
Okay.
I still had the same amount of time to process it, but I was processing it faster.
You leveled up. You leveled up. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Bring your purified water. Cheers to that.
So my ability to process that moment got better. And so in the first time, so like the beginning of that little mental exercise that I had, over the course of several weeks and several months, that got better. So at first it was like, I just immediately chose the wrong option. But then over time it got better. And then now it's like, I just stay totally calm. It's night and day. But it was a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how can you relate that to maybe a challenge that is like think of the problems that we have in life, generally speaking. Like, how can we take that example and maybe apply it to something more significant, something that's deeper, something that like merits like, because
Okay.
maybe someone is watching this and like, okay, like I get the example, but I mean that's seemingly insignificant,
Mhm.
but the concept is valuable. How can we take that and apply it to something that is like really important for us, like say a relationship, or say a entrepreneurial project, something like
Mhm.
that?
Can you help me narrow down where
Absolutely.
to answer that from? Because my mind is
Yeah.
going everywhere. I'm thinking
What?
biblically, or I'm
Okay,
thinking
let's
true.
go biblically. Let's go
Okay,
biblically. Yeah,
okay.
let's bring out the big guns first.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Um, and this ties into perspective as well.
Hmm.
Your entire perspective of all of life, literally everything, is different whether you believe in God or not. So,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
let's say he does. I believe he does. If he does, then that completely uh, changes how I process everything throughout the day. So, for
I see.
example, um, let's see. If some, I won't even give a specific example right now. If one pops in my head, then I'll say something. But if something bad happens, whatever that bad thing is, um, I know that God is in control. So if that's true, if it's true that God is in control, then that immediately disarms me and calms me down. I think that's why certain verses in the Bible, like um, Matthew 6, I mean, everything in that chapter is beautiful. Specifically, Matthew 6, 32 to 34. And
The anxiety.
yeah, about anxiety. And it says that the Gentiles eagerly seek after all these things. So, whatever all these things is, I mean, it's all these things. It's everything. It's
Right.
all.
Right. Right.
God already knows all that you need. So, wait, let me think about this verse. The Gentiles eagerly seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father already knows that you need all these things. Therefore, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will care for itself. So, if I were to just tell you, like, just any person off the street, you don't have to worry about anything. They'll probably think I'm kind of crazy.
Right.
But if they knew that God was in control and that he knows everything you need and he's going to help meet those needs, then now it makes sense. Now I don't have to be anxious
Right.
about anything because the most powerful being in the universe is on my side.
I see. Yeah. So if we grant the premise, we grant, well, there's a few premises there, but if we grant those premises, then yeah, it would follow that would make sense.
Mhm.
And as you know, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm looking at the other people, right?
Mhm.
I'm looking at the people that maybe they're not there yet. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they'll never be there,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Who knows? But is there a way? Is there a way to apply that practically? Like, is there a way for people to say, you know what, I see what you're
Mm.
saying, but I'm not
Yes.
there yet. Like, how
Yes.
do I apply that as a non-believer or someone who just doesn't believe in anything at all?
Yeah. The word is control. So,
Ah,
um, so in the example I just gave with Matthew chapter 6 and God providing for all your needs, from it's the same. I'm going to say this and one thing after, but they're
sure.
both related to control. In this example, I'm letting go of control. God is the one who has the control, and I'm letting him have it. Whether you believe in God or not, I think by reminding yourself that you're only in control as far as your hands can reach, then that
That's
immediately lessens the burden on you that
right.
you can only do so much. At least for
Hmm.
me, that's helpful.
So that provides a sense of relief,
Right.
understanding that you're finite and you're limited, and I think that even people with many different perspectives can acknowledge that there are many things outside of their control. They may act as if some things are in their control, but ultimately, I think deep down, we all know that's not the case.
Yeah.
And I think we just try to scramble to kind of keep some semblance of order in our lives whenever we can, whenever it's possible. And we should. Like, I'm not saying it's like just take your hands off the wheel and live. There's a balance, right? Because there's kind of like a push-pull. Like, I'm reminded of, there's a very silly example, but if you try to go straight across, you see my hand lifted, right? Like, even just going straight, like there's a minor variation. But if I put, this is called opponent processing. If I stick my hand in front of my finger and I push, it actually keeps my arm more level. So there's a push-pull relationship there. And you can kind of, for lack of a better word, you can play that game with God. You'll probably lose, but but you can play that game. You can say, you know what? Like, I'm gonna take this action. I'm gonna kind of seize control of it and do what I can, and that will steady me a little bit. It will. But there's also things that even when you do that, it still won't work.
Right. Something that also calms you down. The opposite. So I was saying you don't have control over the things that are beyond you. And it's just a very simple analogy to just say, physically beyond my hands, everything's outside of my control. Of course, analogy only goes so far. But anyway, that's not where I want to focus. Actually, I want to mention the opposite. So it can be helpful, at least for me, to, when I'm overwhelmed, to say, okay, let me take control of one thing that is in front of me that is manageable, that's controllable, that will help. Am I tired? Okay, take a break, lay down. Instead of focusing on all the bazillion things I have to do throughout the day, let me get one thing right at a time. And that's super helpful for me.
So there's a shift. There's a shift in your attitude. There's a shift in your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shift in your strategy, right?
Yeah.
There's a shift in many things. And I'm reminded of, this is going to be somewhat random, but we both watched this anime called My Hero Academia.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a quirk that the main character, Izuku Midoriya, gets, which is called gear shift. And what that allows him to do is it allows him to change the direction of any object, like speed it up, control the speed, change the direction. But that's actually something that we all have, because we can all shift gears. That's a power that we actually have at all times. Like, we can always shift gears. We can always change direction. We can even change the speed at which we change direction. What's an example of that in your recent life where you've had to change gears? You've had to shift up or shift down?
I love the concept of shifting down. Not everything needs to speed up.
Okay.
And
why?
For me, I get the most tripped up when I'm going too fast, going back to back. It also causes me to get overwhelmed or burn out
Make
faster.
mistakes too, probably.
Make mistakes, yeah.
That could have been avoided if you just slowed down 10% maybe.
Yep.
I can speak to that the whole episode.
Yeah. And just for me personally in my life, that's been particularly helpful. I use a calendar, and it's been super duper helpful. But I bring that up because I'm bringing it up not because of the helpful side. I'm bringing it up because I know the time slots that I'm available throughout my time. I can have a tendency to fill in all those slots very quickly. And so now what I've done is I put myself in a rut. And
because you've overcommitted yourself.
In a way. And it's not that I've double booked myself, but
you have no buffers.
Yeah, right. I have no time for rest at all. And that's usually a bad sign.
That's a bad
when I'm not resting, going too fast, going nonstop. I've just noticed that I personally get overwhelmed faster when that's the case. So what I do in my calendar is I carve out time in my calendar to do nothing. And sometimes I joke around with this phrase, and I tell people, one of the best skills you can have is the skill of doing nothing. The art of doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, Bishop Robert Barron talks about that with prayer. So prayer is in and of itself the most useless thing you could do because there's no function to it.
Mm-hmm. It's very counterintuitive.
It's extremely counterintuitive because you're carving time out of your day to just sit and talk to the Lord and just say, hey, like, I'm feeling this. These are my thoughts today. But what's funny is that oftentimes it can end up being the most productive thing you do because at the very least, like if we're taking this even from a secular angle, if not else, you're brainstorming.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh,
if not else. And I've heard Jordan Peterson actually make the claim that thought is secularized prayer. And I was like, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Like, so when you're thinking and an idea pops out of your head, like, where did that come from? Yeah. Like, it didn't come from you, because as you're thinking something and you're brainstorming, it's like you have a voice, and then all of a sudden something clicks. You're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, so where did that come from? That's very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the concept of prayer, brainstorming, secularized thought, however you want to phrase it. Like, what occurred to you as we brought that topic in?
I need to shift gears in my mind. It's related, but I was thinking something else, which I'll mention. Or no, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Whatever comes out of my mouth. But you specifically asked about prayer.
Yeah.
Well, what about prayer?
What about prayer? Well, how is it simultaneously? Like, how do you solve the dichotomy between it being the most useful and useless thing simultaneously? Like, I see there's a common thread in our podcast, and we're on the coin metaphor, because like useless and useful, perspective, right? Like you can look at it two different ways.
Yep.
How do you reconcile that, if at all?
Yeah. I think it's a type of rest. In order to pray, you have to think about something other than everything else.
Okay.
Putting it generically like that.
Right.
You have to deny everything else, in a sense. Like what you're doing is kind of what I'm referring to. It's like, I got to make food, I got to go to work, I got to take a shower, like all the things.
All the things that need to happen.
When you want to intentionally pray, you have to stop everything else, at least for it to be effective. You could, I'm thinking about something else, which is all about perspective. So
right.
Paul says to pray without ceasing.
There's something I want to say about that. Keep going.
So there's a time to carve out where you're only praying and you're focused on that. Let's say you're in your room, door closed, and you're without distraction. That's helpful. We're also called to pray at all times.
And how do you do that?
Right. Which, by definition, that has to happen when you're on the go. When you're working, you can pray in your mind. So as I was talking, this whole thing about perspective just came to mind again. So there isn't just one answer to this. But if we're focusing specifically on the topic of rest and setting aside other tasks, what comes to mind is priorities.
Okay.
So priorities, by definition, implies that these other things are not unimportant. You're just making a line, and one thing comes first. And so, for me, the most important thing in all existence is God himself. And so, if he truly is the most important thing to me, then my actions and my behavior should reflect that. And so, for me, what that looks like is I'm carving out time for him, spending quality time with just he and I, one-on-one, just like with a family member or you, like you're one of my best friends. How do I reflect that? We carve out time to spend together. And so the same thing goes with God. And when you're in prayer, I think it's accomplishing more than one thing. I think in one sense, it's accomplishing you just spending time with somebody that you love, in this case, God. It's also accomplishing rest. So if you're exhausted, it's rejuvenating you. Yeah.
A coach of mine used to say that the most useful thing you can do is block out time for nothing. Like that was actually a really, for me at the time, it was very meaningful because if you haven't noticed by now, very high energy, high pace. I'm the yin to Arthur's yang. Like when I see a problem, to me the first thing that occurs to me is how can I get this done faster, more efficiently, and how can I accomplish it and move on to the next task. Whereas he will say, let's look at this first. Can we make it better? Right? So those are our natural dispositions.
Yeah.
And
So
obviously,
I love it.
and it works out great.
Yeah.
You know, and when we get to Zenith Arena, we can talk about how that's manifested there. But all that to say that doesn't mean that we can't do the other thing. It doesn't mean that I can't slow down and focus on quality, or he can't speed up and focus on output. But our natural dispositions, as I'm sure you have yours, will lean towards a certain direction.
Yeah.
And so you can see that in many ways. But one of the ways that it showed up for us is when we were working on Zenith Arena. You know, I was very big on deadlines and output and making sure that we posted and making sure that this got done quickly so that way we could move on to the next thing. And whereas sometimes Arthur would say, well, I don't like the way that looked, or I don't like the way that this came out and I'd like to do it again.
Or another example is I love playtesting the game, which means I want to make it better. Like I want all the rules to be solid and an unbreakable game, which when you guys learn about the game, you'll understand why it's not really possible.
Why don't you just bring it in now? Let's just show them. Yeah.
I'll show this in just a second.
Suspense.
But just to finish the thought that how many playtests is enough? You could play test the game infinitely. It could always get better. So at some point, I need to make a stop for myself and be like, okay, it's good enough. And this is where the perfectionist in me comes into play, which can cause delays. And then that's why I need somebody like you who says, all right, well, is the game good enough? And then we come to an agreement. Yeah, it is good enough. We don't really need to do more play tests. So I love the dynamic. The
dynamic is a very good one. It's been a very good one.
Yeah.
So here's the game. Boop.
Here it is.
Zenith Arena.
Zenith Arena. Yeah.
Coming to a board game store near you. We don't know when, but at some point it will.
Yep. Yeah. This has been such a cool project to work on. And Mauro and I have been working on it for several years now.
About 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually close to 5 because we started right around COVID. So we
established the business in January of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's been more than 5 years. Yeah. Almost 6.
It's crazy. And really, it's kind of existed for longer than that because I had the idea in my head for even before that, which I don't know. I don't know if we have time now. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But whether it's now or later, I'd love to share the inspiration for the game.
Well, it ties into the idea of doing nothing.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Because I know the story.
That's true. That's
true.
Yes.
I know the story.
Okay.
They don't. But let's share the story of how doing nothing became one of the most useful things that he did.
Yeah. Which I'm pausing because it's beautiful how nothing can become something.
Nothing can become something.
From something not existing to making it exist, which I think is a very profound topic in itself. But this will make more sense in a moment. So I don't remember exactly when it was. It was before 2020. Maybe 2015, something like that. My younger brother and I were helping my mom with an event. And at the time, she was hosting different events at a community garden. And at this garden, there was a lot of work that had to be done. We had to be outside on hot days, move things around. And these would be relatively long days. So after a long day of doing hard work in this community garden, my mom told us, all right, boys, we're good. We're just going to be wrapping things up. Feel free to just, go over there, whatever you guys want to do, go do it. And so my brother and I just took a couple of lawn chairs and we were just talking. We were catching up, and my brother is very creative. He's just like me. He loves coming up with great ideas, innovative ideas. And so we were just bouncing ideas off of each other. And one of us asked the question, okay, if we could make a game right now, what would it be? And we just started talking. And I realized, and I mentioned this to him, that we always have these moments where we're sitting down, we're bouncing really cool ideas off of each other, but we never do anything with it. It's just like a vapor. It's out there and
it's like ether. Yeah.
So I didn't want that to happen again. I said, Alex is my brother. And I said, Alex, I'm going to write these down. And I don't even know if it's going to become anything, but at least this is a first step to it becoming something. So I just started jotting down in my notes on my phone, just all the different bullet points of everything we were talking about. And then when I went home, I was thinking about it. And I said, I'm going to make the first rule book for us.
Ah, yes.
I literally just copied and pasted the entire bullet list onto a Word document. But as simple as that is, and it wasn't even a game yet, it was a bunch of ideas. But that's fine. I birthed the first moment of existence. It
was like your Big Bang.
Yeah. And
this, in case you were wondering how the Big Bang sounded like, it sounds
just like that. So beautiful. I don't know. Yeah, so it could have just been another instance of nothing happening, but I wrote it down. I think that leads into a whole other topic, and maybe we talk about another time, but writing things. I think writing things down is really important.
That's very powerful. Well, because I think it's the reason why it's powerful is because you take it out of your head and now it takes form. Yeah. Even if it's in a document, even if you didn't physically write it, but now it's something, right? We talked about nothing to something. That's something, right?
Right. It's very intentional as well. And so I wanted to be intentional about this. So I made what I do with all the game ideas. I have many. I probably have more than 30 different game ideas beyond this one, Zenith Arena.
Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. And I can't wait for them to exist just like this.
Yeah.
But what I do is I always make a draft 0. And I don't know why I call it that, but maybe it's because if it's 0, it's like it gives me the excuse that it can be messy. And so my very first writing it all down moment was my draft 0. And then what I do after that is I read through everything and I decide what's going to stay and what's going to go. And I start deleting things and start refining it. And now I have my draft 1, where it's
interesting.
I've collected all of my thoughts that are all jumbled and chaotic. And I've decided that this is the first moment where it's organized. My draft 1. And then what I started to do was I thought, well, how do I now make this playable? Because the rules are there, but I can't physically play it. So I got pieces of paper, like flat pieces of paper, and I started cutting things out. And it was my very first playtest that I did with my brother Alex and my cousin Jose. And we had fun, but in that moment, I also learned everything else that needed to be improved. Like the number one thing that was super annoying, actually 2 things. First was this game uses a lot of hexagon shapes, and cutting a hexagon
is very
in itself
difficult.
Is kind of difficult, let alone making it perfect, like a perfect hexagon, let alone doing that 100 times.
Yeah.
You can't cut a hexagon very fast.
No.
It just is what it is.
I haven't tried, but at least not 100 times.
Yeah.
I think I've cut like maybe 10 hexagons in my life. I think most people, let us know how many hexagons you've cut. How many you've produced. Maybe we'll hire you.
You'll never understand what it's like to cut a hexagon if you haven't cut one yourself. So there was that. And then the second thing that was really annoying was flat pieces of paper. It's like, if you ever tried picking up a piece of paper,
right?
You either like
scramble it,
like a corner off, or like slide it off the table. It's just, So
I get you.
You could call that a mini battle. It was a challenge because Well, one challenge that my brother and I surpassed was making an idea exist, like making it become something.
That's a big
And then,
one. That's a big one, man. That's
yeah.
a big one. That's, I think, is very meta. I
Mm.
think it's a very meta issue. Like,
Mhm.
do I actually take action?
Yeah.
Am I just going to leave it in my head? Am I actually going to do something with it? Like, I think that's actually, I would say, it's a bigger battle than maybe what we're giving it credit for here,
Mhm.
because oftentimes, like, you. So what's interesting is that you mentioned draft 0 and draft 1,
Mhm.
right? And for anyone who's ever done anything related to business, you know that probably the most difficult customer you got was probably your first one.
Mm.
Because going from 0 to 1 is a big deal.
Mhm.
But going from 1 to 2 or 2 to 4, assuming all things are equal,
Mhm.
is actually easier.
Yeah.
But getting from 0 to 1 is a big deal.
Right.
Like, and just so you know, that's a full prototype. Like, that has all the components, like, it's fully printed, and maybe we'll do a special episode. Like, we'll bring it just so that way at least people can see some of it.
Just something.
But
Please continue.
yeah. So, I mean, everything in here is fully printed. It's professionally done. There's a rule book that is a real rule book now.
Yeah.
It actually has something inside. You see that? Those are all the components which we have inside this box. Like, we have the components that are actually fully designed and fully made.
Yep. Well, let's get this to focus.
We'll get that.
There we go. Yeah. So like we have like an actual, instead of a piece of paper, it's actually like a thick.
Look at that. It's a standee.
Yeah, the standee.
Yeah, made of cardboard.
Yeah.
I
Very,
think.
very, very dense cardboard.
Yeah. Good quality pieces, mind you.
We got a bunch of pieces in here. Let's see what the reflection. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all kinds of things, but like it exists. It's not.
Those are the hexagons that were cut out by a professional board game company, and not by Arthur or me or Alex or anybody else related to the game. Yeah. But look at these cards. Yeah. These are nice cards, eh?
It's a real card.
Yeah. That's Earthquake, right?
Some thickness to it. I
like
it. Quality. It's very good. Yeah, this is Earthquake.
That's Earthquake.
There's 90 different cards in here. Anyway.
You want to watch all 89 more? Or
let's go through all of them one at a time.
One at a time. Be a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah.
So that's a great story. I love it for more reasons than one. And actually, what you're referring to is a combination of our third pillar, which is growth, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got 4 pillars. We've got adventure, battle, growth, and beauty. So we've talked about adventure and battle. Now let's talk about growth. So growing from 0 to 1, and I guess keep talking from where you left off. Like, how did the journey go from there? Like, how did you grow in that journey? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the creative process in general? What did you learn about making board games? Because there have been so many things that we had to backtrack on because we didn't know it at the time. And we're like, oh, we actually have to do this and this and this, whereas we thought it was only 2 things, but it was actually like 8.
Yeah. Gosh.
That happened many times.
As you were talking, I thought of like 3 different things.
There you go. 3 examples.
Hopefully I'll remember all these different things. Well, first, you were mentioning that it's like you think there's one step and then it turns out there's many. So, first of all, I've never established a business before. I don't have a business background. Mauro does. So for me, that's really a big challenge because now I have to learn things that I've never learned before.
So it's skill acquisition, right there.
Skill acquisition. The how did I put it?
The growth curve.
Yeah, the growth curve.
The growth curve.
Yeah. There are certain things that. Well, this goes into something else. So depending on our skill set, our curve of what we're learning is different. So for me, when it comes to the creative process of like making the rules and making the game a cohesive game that works together, that's all very fun for me and it's very easy for me to do, which is probably why I have all these 30 different ideas for games.
Yeah. That comes more naturally to you.
Right.
It's also based on your experience because how many hundreds of board games have you played? and
Oh, yeah.
that all
Mhm.
played into it.
Right.
Pun.
Yeah.
That all played into it
Yeah.
because you saw all these different rule books, you saw all these components, you saw all these ideas, and
Mhm.
you thought, well, why don't I take a crack at it?
Yeah.
And see how it
Right.
goes. But the
So-
growth curve.
Right. So 2 things are happening for the first time.
Mm.
One, making a game. Another thing, establishing a business. I am more inclined to make a game, and that is relatively easy for me to do. Establishing a business, I had also never done before, but that's not my natural inclination, which is why I really needed your skill set, which was very helpful and complementary. But as we're talking about the learning curve and skill sets, I'm thinking about that there are things that come naturally to me, there are things that come more naturally to you. What was the other thing that I was thinking of? Oh yeah, momentum. Momentum can play a big part in how quickly you grow and by how much. Think of a snowball. You start small with this little tiny thing, but as you keep rolling, it can be massive. And
unless you live in South Florida, then you don't have a snowball.
Right. Yeah, I guess you can make sandballs.
You can make a sandball. Yeah. They're not as fun though.
Yeah. So, yeah, momentum. And I think this company of ours has experienced the good and the bad of momentum, just being completely honest.
Yeah.
So
going back to priorities too. Yeah. We talked about priorities too.
Priorities. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when you're in it and you're knocking things out and you're creating your checklist, which we would do. We would make
we had checklists, we had plan, we had everything. Yeah. We have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we would get things done. And that's why it's gotten this far. That's why we have a physical, really good looking prototype.
Yeah.
But sometimes momentum stops, life happens.
Yeah.
Our priorities shift.
Yes. That's a great thing to talk about actually, yeah. Like what do you do when, you've got the wheel and things are going well, it's smooth sailing, and then you have someone in Florida cut you off and now you've got to change lanes. And that happens in life all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You have to adjust, or else it could be worse. Because if you don't change lanes, you get in a car accident.
You're going to crash.
It would be better if you change lanes, even though it's diverting your course a little bit.
Yeah,
it's better than stopping completely.
Right.
Getting in an accident. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
So for this particular, for our company, we still got a ways to go, and when momentum slows down, it doesn't mean it has to stop completely, but I guess that comes back to the overarching concept of growth.
Yes, it does. Growth is not a straight line. Rarely it is a straight line. Yeah.
I love how you can really tell by listening to us that we say things at the same time, but we're saying two different things, but they're both related to each other, which I love. I think it shows how our friendship complements each other.
Sure does.
We're very different in different ways. I think it's a beautiful thing. Something else I just realized about it. Look at our shirts, black and white.
That's really funny.
Opposite. We didn't plan.
We did not plan that. Yeah. But that's very symbolic in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Going back to the melting pot, right? Culture, differences, how the human species feeds off of one another, how cultures feed off of one another, even down to the individual level. At the level of personality, at the level of skill set. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So
friendship is important.
Yeah. It is.
It's very important. And that's actually the fourth pillar is beauty. We talk about the importance of human friendship. Why does our friendship matter to you? Very deep question, but why? Yeah. And I'll give my answer, but
having someone that you can share experiences with is important to me. Also, having somebody who cares about what you care about is very important to me, which I guess is directly related to sharing. I personally love sharing experiences with people. I was going to say I can't play board games by myself. That's technically not true. There are one-player board games.
There are many solo board games.
But I don't own a single player board
game. Really?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not even one.
Now, some all my games are multiplayer.
They have
some
solo
of them
variants.
Yeah, there are solo variants, but I've never done them. I don't have an interest in that.
Interesting.
Just the way I am.
That's really
Some
interesting.
people are, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But it shows something about my personality that I love sharing experience with people. It's why I love hosting game nights or traveling with people.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah.
Those board game nights. And traveling with you too is always fun.
Yeah. And something else I thought of is it's a slightly different direction, but it's related, which is like the end product, the reward that you get from accomplishing something, the concept of satisfaction. I get more joy out of sharing a win with somebody than taking the win just for myself.
I see.
There's so many different examples I can give, but I'm thinking music right now. It could apply to so many different things, but I've been dabbling with making music since I was in middle school, and I can't help but have to save it on my phone and come over to your house and share it with you. Be like, can you listen to this? Like,
yeah,
I'm not doing that out of my own pride. It's because I want you to experience the same kind of emotions that I'm feeling.
Yes. He makes good music, by the way. Yeah, he does. He does make good music. I've told him several times to publish it already, so I'm glad that he said it at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah. So,
December 31st, 2025.
Yep.
Go to Arthur Rose's Spotify playlist to see his first published track.
Yeah, God willing, that'll happen.
God willing.
I'm gonna work hard at that.
You've got it already. You just have to pick one, I think.
Yeah, it's true.
Honestly, you have got so many great ones.
Yeah.
Well, one of the reasons why my friendship with you matters to me is because you listen so well. And for someone that is very hyperactive, has a lot of energy, tries to break the sound barrier every day, and feels bad when he doesn't, in every way, shape, and form. Having someone that you can just dump things on in a healthy way is probably if we're talking about like the graces of our friendship and what has been most of a blessing to me, it's probably been that. Like, you listen so well. You take it all. My gosh, that could be so many bad contexts. But
just kidding.
As you can see, we're very silly with one another. That's another thing I'm very grateful for in our friendship is we are very good at shifting from, like, I could be crying in 1 minute and then like the next minute I'm laughing, and that's like not an exaggeration. That is so true. And I think that's why it's beautiful to really not be afraid of being friends with people that are not like you. I mean, yes, you do have to have something in common, or at least be willing to share, like you said. But you could have a friend that is the complete opposite of you. And maybe my marriage is an example of that. She's very different than I am, but it works so well. And I think our friendship has this nice sweet spot of, we have enough in common, but we have enough differences that it's like there's never a moment that has been spent that has not been, for me, like, it's never been not worth it. It's always been worth it.
You know what I just realized?
What did you realize?
That loops back to the very first thing we were talking about, because it's important to see what we have in common.
Yeah.
In addition to the things that we don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah. I think that's how it's possible to have peace with people who are different than you.
Yeah.
And
peace.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me one day that you valued being content.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big moment, because contentment is not a flashy term. It's not something that people aspire to. Like, no one aspires to be content, right? Like, people will say things, well, I aspire for success, I aspire for greatness, and I aspire for all those things. But one of the things that I've really come to enjoy is just like a nice, even-keeled day. Like, just content. Like, I finished my day. It was neither fantastical nor was it miserable. And you know what's funny? That's most days. So it's like if you can't master the art of being content with your circumstances, as someone who has had many bouts with anxiety, like that can be a death sentence, I think.
Yeah.
Or
Contentment is not about having everything turn out perfectly.
right, right. And there's an element of gratitude in that too, I think. You're just grateful for your current circumstances, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to master, contentment. It's also something I think is counterintuitive. The reason
Just
why
like
I think
prayer.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
The reason why I think it's counterintuitive because we love, for better or for worse, whether we love to or we do it, whether we love to or not, we easily compare ourselves to other people, to what they have or what they don't, or what I have or what I don't, which can be a good or a bad thing because it's good to have aspirations and have role models. And you
It
want to
can be a
like
motivating force. If you see the good in someone
Yeah.
and you want to aspire to that trait, I think that's why we have heroes, right? And we
Yeah.
have stars, right? We call them stars.
Yep. It could also, as powerful as it can be just as destructive.
There's that coin again, right? That two-sided coin.
Yeah.
You can aspire to greatness or to the opposite of that. Like you can sink down and be like, why don't I have that? Why am I not there?
You could be perfectly happy right now, and as soon as you think of that other person who has the thing that you've been desiring that you don't have,
instant shift.
Exactly. You're no longer happy.
That goes back to gear shift. Yeah. Shift down or shift up.
And so related to this is, why are you going to let somebody else control your state of being?
Why give them that power?
Right.
Yeah.
And using that as the analogy,
right,
that comes back to the contentment that not everything has to be perfect. So if you master contentment and learn how to be happy with what you have and being grateful, you will be able to withstand those moments where you're comparing yourself to somebody else with the thing that you don't have or want, and you can maintain your peace. And what's more valuable than your own peace?
What's more valuable than your own peace?
And that's a very abstract question. I'm sure you can think of things that are just as important, but just think about how valuable your peace is and what happens when you lose it.
Well, one of the things I've learned in marriage is that you very quickly get to that point where it says, through sickness, through health, through ups and downs. And like that happens a lot quicker than what you think. The honeymoon phase doesn't last that long. You very quickly get into reality. Mm-hmm. And by quickly, I mean a matter of weeks, and you very quickly have to learn the lesson of contentment, especially when you're living full time with another person. Like even with a roommate, like I remember we lived together for a while, know, and that was a new experience. Talking about novelty, that was really fun. I loved that experience, and so many moments of, I look back at that time very fondly. It was a very wonderful time, and I was so sad when I had to go. Yeah, I was sad. I was ready to go. I didn't want to, but I was like, yeah, of course. The time came to an end. I was very happy for that. It was a very beautiful time. It was so cool. Just having our computers next to one another, just playing games. And,
that was great.
Yeah. We were still in college back then. We were at FIU. Yeah. That was really cool. That was a cool time. Yeah. So let's talk about nature. That's another element of beauty. So you mentioned travel.
Yes.
So what does nature do for you? Why should we spend more time in nature?
Nature has a very powerful and magical way of giving me the most peace immediately. It's just something I've noticed every single time. For example, there's a place in Florida called Ichetucknee Springs. Very beautiful river, crystal clear. Yeah. Super refreshing. Yeah. I've been going there almost every year with my family or with friends for the past 20 something years, at least once a year. And every single time that my family and I have gone down that river together, whether we're tubing or we're in a kayak, all of us, all four of us, we feel such a peace that we cherish so much. So there's something about nature that does that. I've experienced that on hikes.
That's so funny.
There have been, whether it's a short hike or a long one. There was one time my brother and I went to Switzerland and Iceland, and in both places we love our hikes. We're both nature people, and we did some of our longest hikes there together. And we always have the best conversations on a hike. I also have the best ideas, I think,
when you're hiking,
when I'm hiking, or I'm in nature in general.
In general.
But yeah, specifically when I'm hiking. And it's not like I'm doing anything quote unquote productive. I'm literally just walking from point A to point B,
and then point B to point A.
There, like when you think about it, there's nothing really productive I'm doing. If I really wanted to be legalistic about being productive, I'd say, well, I would be doing some research about something, or I would be meal prepping for the next week. It's like you could fill in literally anything if you just get legalistic about being productive. But yet, at the same time, walking in nature was probably just as productive because it gave me the idea, for example, with the board game. I was sitting down doing nothing, just having a conversation. I'm sure there's plenty of other productive things that I could have been doing.
Yeah. That same coach that I mentioned to you earlier, he had a client that apparently he would do these walks every morning, and he called it like his $1 million walk. And he called it his $1 million walk because he'd get, quite literally, like $1 million ideas, because one of these clients was a very prolific entrepreneur, and yeah, those walks were worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
Because, well, why? And I think it's the same reason why people say that they get their best ideas in the shower. It's because you're just giving yourself space to think.
Yep.
Like nowadays, I think one of the few times, and maybe not even anymore, like you're on the toilet, you're probably on your phone, right? You know, whereas before it's like you probably would have never done that, right? And we're living in this transitionary period where now all the kids, you know, they're probably getting hemorrhoids because I actually had the brother of an old girlfriend of mine was notorious. Like he would just be on the toilet for like 45 minutes. And yeah, he got like mild hemorrhoids from that because he'd just be on his phone. And
I wasn't expecting this to go that route, but
well, yeah. I'm welcome to the AFA podcast. My name is Mauro Schiavo and I'm your host. And we talking about hemorrhoids on the toilet from over phone use. But that's a big problem, man. Like we feel like we can't be off of it. And so even like taking a shower, for example, like I've sent text messages in the shower.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Like you bring your phone into the
Sure.
shower?
I'll put it as a Bluetooth speaker. I'll use it for music. Yeah.
I've never done that before. Even though the iPhone says it's water resistant, I'm always afraid that
it's worked out fine. Well, it's fallen down a few times. And you know, that's what the case is for, as I always say. That's what the little case is for. Right. It never shattered, thanks be to God. But there's something to be said about allowing yourself spaces of time where you can just think. And hiking is a great example of that. And whatever that may be, swimming, canoeing, kayaking, anything that you get movement in that requires a low amount of focus. As my coach would say, he would say that you get to use, you give your left, and I know that scientifically this doesn't pan out 100%, but your left hemisphere gets to focus on something that is repetitive, like taking a stroke or stepping or whatever, or even climbing, right? And your right side of the brain gets to focus on creative pursuits, right? And I know it's a little bit of an outdated scientifically speaking, but it maps out quite well and it actually works. Like you give yourself a low cognition task, doesn't require much computational power to just get your joints moving, your body moving, your hands moving, your feet moving, and then your creative juices start flowing. Yeah. That happens to everybody, you know? You have to give yourself something to do. That's why I say, like, you don't always have to sit down for a 3-hour creative brainstorming session. Yeah. Although every now and then you should, because a lot of good stuff comes out of that. especially if you're doing it with somebody else.
That's probably why it's good to travel, because you're probably going for a different reason. You're probably going for a vacation to have a good time, but you're also inevitably forcing yourself to be away from everything you're used to normally doing.
You're in a different environment, right? And that's about novelty, right? So we talked about novelty earlier and the importance of novelty. Like changing your environment is one of the best ways to give yourself novelty. And you can do that locally. Like I've many times, like instead of sending an email from here at the home office, I'll go to Barnes and Noble. I'll sit there for an hour. And it's amazing how much you can get done with just a change of pace or change of environment. Like that makes a big difference.
I wanted to mention something else really quickly, because I was thinking, the 3 travel examples that I gave are all far away from where I am. It's like Switzerland's one place, Iceland's a whole other place. Itchitucknee Springs is like 8 hours away from me. But I had the thought that not everybody can do that. I don't want to discourage somebody who may be thinking, well, I'll never be able to go to a place like that. But I
never say never.
Right. Yeah. And so for me,
unless it's killing somebody, if you can avoid it,
don't do that.
Unless it's defense, self-defense. I do martial arts.
So. Do that.
Protect your life and the life of your family.
Yes. So what I want to mention is you don't have to go far.
No, you don't. You really don't.
There's a park. I love parks.
No, you don't.
And there's a park 30 seconds from where I live. There's another one that's 5 minutes from where I live. Sometimes I drive to one. Sometimes I walk to one.
You go the one wheel sometimes too?
I have a one wheel. Sometimes I ride to the park. But you don't have to go to someplace fancy to have those moments that we're talking about.
No, and then there's also what I like to talk about sometimes is the inner adventure. That's daydreaming, that's fantasy, that's fantasizing, that's having the adventure within, not only without. And then sometimes you can have both. Like you can have an adventure without and within, because we always have access to the interior castle, which is a great book, by the way. It's a religious book, but it's a very important concept, because you have this interior kingdom within you, right? And within this kingdom, you have places that you can go to within your psyche, places that you can go to that you can, like, I'm a big believer in Ignatian spirituality, which is the incorporation of all 5 of your senses, specifically with prayer. And that's what I did this weekend with the kayaking experience. We had 9 participants, by the way. Nice. It was a great one. Awesome. I hope you can come to the next one, whenever that is, whatever that is. Actually, we have one on November 15th. If you want to go to that one,
I'll check my calendar.
Please do. But yeah, so we're kayaking in Dania Beach, and yeah, it's, I'm doing this guided reflection, and people are kayaking while they're reflecting, and they're thinking about their prayer life, they're thinking about their relationships, they're thinking about God, they're thinking about their work and their emotions, and they're taking in the sights, they're taking in the sounds, they're taking in the smells, and I'm giving these, very profound reflections, and I'm tying it into the experience. So that way it's a connection between the outside world and the inside world. So we're talking about like the wind, right? Like, where is the wind blowing in your life right now? Like, how's the current in your life? Is the current, is it rocky? Like, is there a part of your life right now where it's really rocky? Is there a part of your life where it's smooth sailing? Like, where are you right now? Like, where do you want the current to take you to? Like, if you can choose. So I'm asking all these questions that are reflecting, and it's a beautiful example of how an inward adventure can match an outward adventure. But you don't have to go far for that. Like, you can do that. It may sound silly to you, but man, if you've got a balcony or something, like I've got a little balcony here in my condo, and oftentimes I'll just go outside, pull up the shutters, and just look. And maybe sometimes people think I'm crazy because I'm in my bathrobe or whatever, but I don't care. Like, I'm just having my coffee. I'm just like this, like hunched over, looking at the cars that drive by or the people that walk by, saying hello to neighbors, stuff like that. Yeah. You don't have to go far.
Nope.
But there's something to be said about that change of pace. Like, we need it, But going back to contentment, like sometimes we can't. Like, maybe money's tight, maybe you're just booked, maybe you're about to have a baby like me, and in a month or so, and you're like, well, I mean, the Germany trip we were planning to go to Germany for our anniversary this year, and that didn't happen for obvious reasons, know. So
you can still be content, but it requires a shift in perspective for being, let's say, grateful for something else. So it's like you could have been content and grateful for being in Germany, but it doesn't mean you can't be content or grateful now, because what you can say now is you're content and grateful that you're going to have your first
child,
which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just, it won't be Germany.
It won't be
It'll
Germany.
be something else that you can be happy
with. Yeah. And then also too, it forced us to get creative. Like, okay, if we can't go to this trip, like, what are we going to do? Right. So it may seem silly, but the day of our anniversary, we went to 2 new restaurants, and that was fun.
Yeah.
It was genuinely fun. I mean, we're looking at the menus.
Where'd you go?
We went to Peter Pan Diner.
Is that here?
Yeah, it's here.
Heard of it.
Funny story why it's called Peter Pan. Stay tuned for the next episode to reveal why it's called Peter Pan Diner. It actually has Disney's Peter Pan on it, which is really funny. I don't know how they got around that copyright issue, but I'm sure they found a way. They're still operating. They've been operating for like 50 years, so they're still there since like 1979.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost 50 years. And then at night we went to this restaurant called Pizza Pazza, which we had a fantastic conversation with the owner. He's Italian. And the pizza was delicious. All the ingredients come straight from Italy.
Wow.
And we would not have had that experience if we would have had other experiences in Germany, but we would not have had that experience that way. And we were both so content and so happy with our day. I'll take you to Pizza Pazza.
Please do.
Peter Pan Diner is also pretty dang good, and the prices are fantastic. Pizza Pazza is just delicious. I mean, we're going to go there at some point. I will invite you. It's like one of the best pizzas you have. Definitely one of the best pizzas you have in the U.S. But since everything is Italian in ingredients, it's like pretty good by Italian standards because they use the same San Marzano tomatoes, which are the best tomatoes in Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like they're tomatoes that are grown in volcanic soil, so the soil is so nutrient dense that the flavor is just it's making my mouth water right now.
Goodness.
Actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're probably hungry.
I am.
So,
well, real quick.
Finish. Finish.
While you were talking about
Please
pizza, it inspired me to have another thought.
Okay.
Which was that challenge can be the very thing that forces you to be innovative. So you were saying that you and your wife, I forgot exactly what you said, but it's like you had to basically shift gears and they forced you to come up with a different plan. Which isn't a bad thing. But, sometimes pivoting can be the very thing that leads to some very exciting new thing.
Yeah.
Which is why I love the concept of innovation, which we could have a whole conversation about that. Innovation.
Yeah, innovation is a good one. We'll have to have you back several times to talk about this. Yeah. Well, this was a beautiful experience. I loved it. I was so honored to have you join us and come on today. Yeah, what a joy. So if people want to find out about Zenith Arena, if people want to find out about anything related to you,
sure.
Where can they get in touch with you? And where would that happen? How would that happen?
Well, for our company, which is called Zuriel Games, by the way, we're on all the social media platforms. So you can go to our website, zurielgames.com.
How do you spell Zuriel?
ZURIELGAMES, zurielgames.com. You can find us on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, YouTube. Yeah. My email address, the the company email address for me is Arthur, ARTHUR, at ZurielGames.com. Pretty simple.
Yeah. And you can find me also at Maro at ZurielGames.com.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's sad to say goodbye for now, but it's not goodbye for now. Well, it is goodbye for now for you guys, because we're going to probably go do something right now. But it's a see you later, I imagine. I know it's a see you later. You're gonna come back, and then when we come back, we'll talk about all sorts of other things that we had planned to talk about that we didn't talk about. We talked about other things. Mm-hmm. That's another example of an adventure. Is we have a plan, we stuck to some of it, mm-hmm. then other things happened, and it was beautiful. I felt it was a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. So if you like this content, if you like this podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm, as you know. Share it, and that way we can continue having this content regularly. And, well, with that being said, it was an honor and a privilege to have you listen to us, and we wish you the best. We hope that God blesses you. We hope that you have a beautiful day or night, evening, wherever you are. And my name is Mauro Schiavo. I am the host for the Academy for Adventurers podcast, and this has been another fantastic episode. Thank you to Arthur Rose for making it wonderful, and we'll see you all again soon. Remember that you are the hero of your own story, so act like it if you're not, and if you are acting like it, then keep aiming upwards. May God bless you, and may your adventure be beautiful, and we'll see you next time. Bye.